Okay, hey guys, can you hear us now? Please let me know if you can hear us now. And we're gonna start over so that you get the full experience and get all this good information, okay? Let us know if you can hear us now. If you can hear us, please let us know. There's still nothing. Let me see. Hold on, let me see. Let me see, can I hear from my phone? Hello, hello. I hear. Yeah, I hear. Okay. Okay, they can hear now. Okay, so we're gonna start over because I want everybody to get this good information. So, I'm Coco. Welcome to the experience, and tonight we're talking about life insurance and the importance of life insurance. If you don't mind, introduce yourself so they get all this good information.
I will. Hello, my name is Latasha Dove, and I am a local life insurance agent here in Birmingham, Alabama. I am also licensed in Georgia as well. Um, I have been doing this for about 2 years, and we will soon be opening up an office here in the Birmingham area, being one of the first Black fully operated office in the company just here in Birmingham. So we look forward to that. And just here to get the word out because life insurance is affordable and to educate people about it. So I look forward to it, and thank you, Coco, for just having me on. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you so much. And like I was saying earlier, I'm sorry we had to start over. But I met Miss Dove at a pop-up shop, and her sign caught my eye because I'm a licensed room director. And your sign said, let them know what your sign
My
said.
sign said, GoFundMe is not life insurance.
And on the room director side, dealing with families, meeting with families while they're grieving and they don't have a life insurance policy is really horrific because at the same time you're being sympathetic with them, truly sympathetic at the same time we're there to perform a job. So it's a difficult situation when you're meeting with the family and they don't have the funds to pay for burial for their loved ones. So we're going to jump right in on why you should invest in life insurance.
Okay, so why should you invest in life insurance? I always tell people one thing we know is our birthday, but one thing we do not know is our death date. That is the inevitable. It's going to happen. So it's good to be prepared. Life insurance is like protection over your life. We protect our cars just in case what? Something happens, right? So why not protect your life for those that have to, they'll have a bill that's left behind. Just yesterday, I put a post on Facebook, or a couple of days ago. A lot of people think that life insurance is a bill, a bill, a bill, a bill. But what about that bill that you're leaving for your family? And you heard Ms. Coco just say that, she is a funeral director. And so that's something that's going to happen. So the affordability is there, but it's just important to have just because the inevitable is going to happen.
Definitely. And let's talk about the difference in life insurance. Most people think, oh, I'm covered by my job, I'm okay. So let's talk about the difference between term life and whole life insurance.
Okay. So I'm going to start the difference and I'm going to compare the two. So let's just say that you have somebody decides to go with a policy that's about $60 a month. They're going to start this at like just say 30, and by the time they're 65, they have not built up any cash value. But they have this policy that they're willing to pay a little bit more for because they're going to get some coverage and some savings. So they're going to pay $120 for it, but they're going to get that same coverage amount. And the policy is going to say, hey, you're going to build up some cash value by the time you're 65. But what those two policies, and so you have a term life policy to where you're paying that $60 a month. Then you have that whole life cash value universal life. They have so many different names that you'll be paying that $120 for and getting that cash value as well as that coverage amount. But what I teach people, if you're willing to spend $120 a month, let's focus on getting that coverage and investing that difference amount, which is that $60. So if you can do basically what Whole Life is saying that you can't, that you're getting, and I simply say that because at the end of the term, there are so many rules and regulations in Whole Life, so many rules and regulations, and so that's why it's important that you review your policies and look at your exclusions and things like that. Because if a Whole Life agent is going to sell you a policy, they're not going to tell you that red line, that red tape. They're not going to, point those things out to you. And I'm going to just give you a few if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So let's just say that, you decided to go with that policy that's about $120 a month, where you're getting that coverage and you're getting that savings, so you think. And so you call the company and you say, hey, I'm putting back some cash value. So what have I been building up for this last 2 years? So when you call them, most companies will say, hey, you're not building anything for the first 3 years of this policy. I've actually seen where people aren't building anything for the first 5 years of their policy. It's going towards administrative costs, policy costs, anything that they can come up with other than it's going towards your cash value. However, what I teach people, if you put this money into an investment account that's getting an average, let's just say of like 10%, when you start investing, you start seeing your money. You start seeing your money. And so that's one rule right there. So another rule is, they say, well, you'll be building cash value. So as you're building this cash value, you're only getting maybe a 1 to 4% interest rate. If you know anything about how to make your money work for you, the higher the interest rate, the shorter amount of time it takes your money to work for you. And so what we help clients do is get an average of, let's just say, about 10%. If you're getting 10% versus this 1 to 4%, you're making more money on this side. You're making your money work for you. And so I'm just like, hey, that alone. So they also have other rules. So they tell you that you build up this cash value so that you can borrow from it. And something in our culture that we get all the time is borrow.
Which is not good.
Which is not good. Why get something you can borrow from when you can get something that you can take from? You can invest in your own accounts. And so, you get this money and you borrow from it. And, let's say you take from it. You take from it, but not knowing that cash value is coming from that face amount. So when it's time to bury you, you probably heard Uncle John, had this whole life policy, but he was taking money. And now Auntie Mary is left with a bill. Because Uncle John didn't have enough money.
You got to left to figure it out.
Yes, to figure it out. And so on the side that, I help clients set up, we set up short-term savings account, emergency funds. So people can go in and out of those accounts as they please. You want to have something that you can go in and they don't say, hey, well, you got to put this money back. If I set you up on an investment account that you can take from and put back at your own leisure, that's something you would rather have. But what really hurt me, because I had Whole Life, and it kind of just, crushed me, was when I found out that, they say that you're building up this cash value and that you have this coverage amount. And this is just some policies. That's why you have to read.
Some insurance companies are really tricky.
Yeah, some of them are.
Really
so
tricky.
You really have to read the red line, the black and white, basically. And if you don't know, contact me and I can help you, understand that. But, a lot of companies say that in the event of death, we're either going to pay out this coverage amount or this cash value amount. If they only pay that beneficiary that coverage amount, what happened to the other?
Right.
They kept it. They kept it. And on, what I help clients do, you get that coverage amount if it's within that term. And then you have an investment account that we have set up that will be paid out to the beneficiary. So that way you have money, that you can build generational wealth on. Because that's something that our culture is missing so much on is generational wealth. And it doesn't take much, guys.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you're money hungry because you're investing in life insurance to build generational wealth.
No, ma'am.
You're basically securing yourself. And that's what we really need to do. So, like I said, as a firm director, my expertise is in taking care of the family, making sure that they get to the burial process. you are the expert in life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that we connected.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like I saw that sign and like my eyes just lit up because I was
Yeah.
like, somebody feels me.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we got to get rid of this GoFundMe account. I hate when I see a person post a GoFundMe post.
It's bad. It's bad.
It
You
is.
see them every week, and knowing that it can be eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
If you just took some like additional money that you may have taken out to eat, if you have a
Mhm.
family of 4 and y'all go out to eat every Friday, just imagine if you were to save that for
Mhm.
about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That could pay for your family's entire policy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then if you wanted some investments, we can do that investment account because that's what we teach by
Mhm.
term and investment risk.
Mhm.
So that's just,
And it's very important.
Mhm.
So give us some more tips on building generational wealth through life insurance.
Well, and I'm just going to speak to the culture for a minute, because if you follow other cultures, you see that that's how they build their generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
They build it through life insurance, and they start it at a young age. So when Mikey graduates high school or college, Mikey's going to go and get a life insurance policy to where he's getting about $200 to $500,000,
Mm-hmm.
and he's locking in that rate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, granddad, Mikey's mom, and Mikey's grandfather, they already have those because they've had it since they were about 20 years
Right.
old. And so when grandfather passes away, he has left the family about $500,000.
And the family is secure.
The family is secure. And so that continues to go on. And so in our culture, we have to just think for a minute, hey, instead of, oh, I don't want anybody to get rich off of me. It's not that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want your children to struggle like you did if there was a struggle? Don't you want their life to be just a little bit better than, your life was? And it does not take much at all. Instead of saying, hey, my mom or my dad, they have me covered, so I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have children?
Right.
If you have
Are
children,
your children covered?
are your children covered?
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens when something happens to mom, dad,
Mhm.
grandma?
Mm-hmm.
What if you can't take that over?
Right.
And so that's why it's important that we get into it so that we can build generational wealth for our children, for our children's children. And if you just are Bible readers, and I hate to just take it there, but I'm going to be honest, it's something good and responsible for right now. But in the Bible, Proverbs 13:22 say a good person will leave an inheritance for their children's children.
Mm-hmm. You got to take care of your children.
You have to take care of your children because you don't know. I was sharing a story that, when I was 5 years old, I lost my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom that took me in 4 years later, she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think, what if they would have left something behind to where I'm not paying Sallie Mae right now?
Mm-hmm.
To where I could have a prospering business. Not saying that my business is not, but it can just be blooming. And so that when I, get ready to go away, I have something left for my child. So it's just something that we have to just think about and get out of our own way and say, hey, I'm going to leave something for my child.
That's correct.
And my children's children.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that funeral cost is consistently rising, especially now being in a pandemic. Prices are starting to change, even with your cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a policy that covers you more than your burial amount. And some people, especially the older crowd, they think they got that $10,000 30 years ago. They think they okay, but they don't know now when you go and you pay for your burial, all your burial costs, it's $10,000 or more sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you want a decent burial. So you have to know that the price of everything goes up. Sometimes. So let's move on to my next question is about, should people take out their own policy on their parents and grandparents as well as children?
Yes, I will say yes to that. Especially your children, but your parents. Let's start with the older people as well. So let's just say that you have a grandmother that's still in good health, but she didn't have any life insurance because life insurance is based off of age and health. So of course it's cheaper when you get it at a younger age, and of course it's going to increase a little bit if you are older. But it is important because then you're left with that bill. You know, I've heard so many cases of where they say, you know, well, my dad said he has some life insurance, and you know, when something happens, the inevitable happens, they're left with a bill.
Mhm.
And so now they're borrowing from 401ks. They're trying to start GoFundMe accounts and, you know, just figuring it out. And what I tell people is, you know, there are certain costs that you really, that you can't get out of. And that's death and debt. That's
you
going
gotta
to
pay
be
the
there.
bills, and you have to pay the back.
Yes, yes. And so that is something to really consider when that time comes is, hey, I need to have something so that, you know, we can leave something behind. But taking it out on parents and grandparents are really important. And the company that I represent, you pay one premium for your entire family. So you add your children and they're taken care of. You add your husband if you're married and they're taken care of, and you're just paying that one premium amount. So you don't have 5 or 6 premiums if you have a family size of 5 or 6. So it is important, and we see right now that kids, you know, with especially with COVID being around, kids have been passing away as well.
Definitely.
Illnesses around, you know, kids pass away. A child can go to sleep and not wake up just like an adult can. So it is important because just like they have a birthday, they will always also have a death date, even though we don't like to think about it.
The most important thing is to remember that life is just like that. We can walk out this door and fall dead. So you have to remember, like, no time is promised. Like, you have to just really plan. When you plan for the future, you have to also plan for death. And most people don't realize that you should, but it's very important that you do. Next, can you get insurance on a business partner?
You can. So, you know, when you think of people going into business together, you know, they're going into business together to make a profit. Am I right? You know, so, you know,
Protect
you
your
guys
assets,
to protect your assets. So if you're going into the business, you know, to make a profit and something happens to one of those business partners, as that surviving partner, you know, with you guys just agreeing on some things, you would want to have something to leave behind. So, okay, if this business were to prosper, this is what my hopes that they would have something. So as long as you have the proper legal paperwork in place to say, okay, this is me and so getting this business, and this is our plan, the business plan of the future for the business, then, you know, that is something that you can do.
Right. It's very important because you definitely want to protect your assets. And make sure that you're secure, whether it's your family, your business partner. You don't want to have loose ends at the end of the day. So next, you know, the language of insurance is very important. So let's talk about contestable and incontestable. Explain to the people the language of life insurance policy.
There are many policies that have, you know, contestability clauses. And that may be, you know, hey, well, you're getting this insurance, but if anything happens within the first 2 years of you having this policy, some companies may pay out, some may not. The company that I represent, you know, we have a clause, but it's only if a person commits suicide within that first 2 years, you know, that only that premium will be paid out. But if something happens after that 2 years, then, you know, hey, if that suicide happens after that 2 years, we'll consider it. And just with anything, you have to look into, okay, did this person, you know, fib or tell, you know, not the truth on this policy? And so you have to take consideration and look into that. And also, you know, if somebody has a, you know, waiting period is basically what I call, you know, for death, that really shows how credible is this insurance company if they have a waiting period. You know, are they saying that they really can't afford to pay if there is a waiting period on there? And I'm not saying that that's everybody, but just, you know, in general, some companies do.
You know, really have to do your research.
You have to do your research. That's why education is key when getting life insurance.
Definitely. And while we're talking about suicide clauses, I was reading something the other day as I was getting ready for tonight's show. And one of the things, it was like, well, you know, they can basically go back and pull your history with your doctor, and if you had any signs of depression or, you know, on any type of anxiety meds, that they can deny your application.
And that may be the case with some. I personally have not experienced that, but that's why we say, hey, we say, you know, when you're getting your policy or when it's approved, that we do have this clause. This is the only clause that we have on our application. So we just ask, hey, if you're going through something, if something, you know, comes up, just talk to someone. Reach out to someone. If it's not a family member, you know, let it be a friend. Let it be your life insurance agent, you know, because you never know who could calm you down for that. So you just, you never know.
You never know. Also, this is off my list, but let's talk about, and I don't know why I didn't put this one down, people that have pre-existing issues. Because I know sometimes with certain insurance companies, it's harder if you have a pre-existing condition to get life insurance.
It is. And I said it a little while ago that insurance, life insurance is based off of age and health. It is, and not saying this in a bad way, it's a privilege to have life insurance, just like it is any other insurance. And with that privilege, you know, you may have to go through, you know, exams and things like that. So they just want to know, okay, how insurable are you? Are we, you know, taking a chance?
Too much of a risk.
Too much of a risk. That I was getting to that. Too much of a risk. And so we just have to, you know, be cautious. Be cautious with that. That's why we recommend that people get it while they're younger and still in good health, so that they can lock in that rate.
So it's definitely important, and that was my next thing, why it is important to lock in your life insurance at a younger age.
It is so important. And so I took some notes.
That's okay. Because I know it's a lot to cover, and most people don't realize that it's more to just having life insurance, that you actually have to know what's going on in that policy. Because even you know, when you told me Globe Life had so many exclusions and hidden stuff in there, you opened my eyes, and I am going to get you my policy to look at, because I want to make sure that I'm covered at the end of the day. Like I say, I know funeral service. You know life insurance. So we need to connect.
Yeah, I got
you. And people need to know information, especially my generation. Because my generation, I know a lot about, you know, having insurance and believe in it because I have older parents.
Yes.
And that's all I've known since I was younger is life insurance. My mama used to tell one of my older sisters, girl, I'm just gonna keep your life insurance because you out there in the streets. I'm gonna keep your life insurance. And so it's important. But even though your parents have insurance on you, it's important that you get some on yourself as well. If you have children, that you know, insure them so you cover everybody as a whole.
Yes.
So what are some other reasons it's good to get it while you're younger?
It's good to get it while you're younger. And we talked about it just a few minutes ago. Just because, you know, you may say, well, my mom has me covered, or my dad or my grandmother has me covered. Well, what happens when they pass away? What if you can't take over that policy? What if at this moment you may have an illness to where, you know, you may not be able to get life insurance? And if you would have done it maybe 2 years ago before you found out about that diagnosis, you could have saved some money. And so that's important. But also in our culture, you know, like I said, the other cultures are a step ahead.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because they get it at a very, very young age. And so, you know, that's just something that a lot of us aren't being taught. You know, we may just be taught, hey, just get enough so that we can put you in the ground and that's it. But not thinking about those loved ones that you may be taking care of that, you know, you're leaving behind because they still have to live. Or, you know, just building that generational wealth, you know, for that generation that you're leaving behind. Just because you're 22 doesn't mean that in 5 years you won't have a family.
Right. It definitely doesn't. And when someone else's dies, and if you're young and that person was taking care of you, even if you're of the legal age and you're still like new to living on your own, and that person dies dramatically, you really don't know what to do.
Exactly.
Or whatever. And so that's where their life insurance policy comes in and can actually secure the rest of your future. And that's why it's so important. And we need to get back to following the trend of making sure that we have life insurance policies so that our futures are secure, because you just never know.
Never know.
And let's talk about what are some living benefits of life insurance?
Okay. And that, you know, when I was reading over your things, that's like what I know that we have is a terminal illness, right? So let's just say that you have this policy, you've had this policy for about 10, 15 years. and you come down with an illness that only you can go and get seen about in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
But that costs about $75,000. And you are, living with that condition, and you're just like, okay, I just want my kids to be taken care of. However, if you go and get this treatment for $75,000, this could possibly save your life. So, we have to where, that could happen. I have a colleague, and she was telling me a story, and she said that, her client she just wanted to, be happy with her kids in her last days.
Mm-hmm.
But her daughters pushed her to, take the money out the policy, not having to pay the policy back, but taking the money out of the policy so that she can go and get this treatment done. And to this day, she's still alive.
Good.
So it saved her life. So that is something that's a huge, huge plus, especially if it's a terminal illness.
Mm-hmm. Life can happen to any of us at any time, so we definitely want to be ready. Nobody wants to die today or tomorrow, but you never know.
Never know.
Rodriguez means is people think they have all the time in the world, and that's really true. They think they have all the time in the world, and that death won't happen to them.
And it will. We can, God forbid, but I could go out tonight and something happens to me. But something in my heart that I know that my son is taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And that gives you comfort.
That gives me comfort to know that he'll be taken care of today and even after I pass away.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's so good about life insurance. So Ms. Dub, is there anything else that you want to educate the people on tonight on life insurance?
I would just say, just be careful, when you have something. Not saying that, hey, I'm just always right, but I am educated on it. Read the red lines. Read the red tape. Even though it's not on your policy per se, read that black and white. If you need help reading it, let me know. I can be found on social media. I am at Latasha Dub on Facebook. That is me. And on Instagram, it's LDub0717. That is me. Reach out, ask questions. It is okay. But make sure you're educated. Get with those that are educated. And you want to think about this. If you're calling an insurance company over the phone to get a policy, how easy do you think that insurance company will send that check to your family when you pass away?
That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed tonight's show. It's very informative. She has given you her how to reach her. Does my audience have any questions tonight? Y'all good? Okay, go ahead.
Can you put insurance on somebody that's incarcerated?
It depends.
The question on the floor tonight, guys, is can you get an insurance policy on someone that is incarcerated?
And so here's what you have to think about. If they're incarcerated, is there a risk that they took to get there? How risky are they when it comes to insuring them? Was it misdemeanor or was it a felony? What was the cause of it? And so most companies really look into that. They look into that deep.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a 7-year-old. He has a lot of illnesses, cerebral palsy, all that stuff. So he didn't start getting it sick until he was like 3 weeks old. But my mother-in-law, when she has life insurance on all of her kids, which is 4, 2 girls and 2 boys. And every child that has a child, all of her grandchildren, she has life insurance on them. Literally, I have 4 kids. She got life insurance on all her grandchildren. Now, me, at this moment, it's so hard. I can't get any life insurance on my 7-year-old. Is there any kind of way? She has it because she's had it since he was born, which he had no illnesses. But, like, as of now, I can't. Ain't no way I can go around it.
That is I haven't seen it because I know that that's a question on our policies. And what I would tell you, okay, since you can't, start an investment account. to where you can start putting something away. So, when that inevitable time comes, you'll have something to put him away with. And that's just a trying to think of a word, a circumstance that sometimes we can't get around just as an insurance company.
Ms. Johnson said, changing the mindset of our people on understanding the importance of life insurance and how paying small for something big is just a mindset. That's definitely true. Rodriguez also said, is job insurance all the insurance you need? No.
It is
No.
not. So let's talk about that. That didn't come up tonight. That is so not, because here's the thing to consider, or to just think about. If you have that job insurance, what if you get ill
Mm-hmm.
and you have to miss work? And, they are just like, unfortunately, you're not doing us any good being here.
Mhm.
We're going to have to lay you off.
Mm-hmm.
And you only had that insurance at your job.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you leave that job. You don't have that insurance any longer, and you're uninsurable
Because
because
it's a
you have
group
this
policy.
Yes, and it's a group policy.
And to keep it afterward is way too much than that
Mhm.
group rate.
And then some people don't even let you keep that
You're right.
because it's only, that red tape that I was talking about yet again. What if they have, okay, you can only keep this if you pass away within the first 3 weeks.
Right.
And, you have to think about, does my job take care of me right now? But what happens when something really gets down to the nitty gritty and I need them the most, but they don't take care of me anymore?
Right. And you worked at that job for who knows how many years.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why it's important to definitely have your own insurance outside of your job.
Yes.
Yes, it's good to have it with your job, extra policy, but you also want to secure yourself outside of that job.
And you're ahead of the game if you said, okay, I'm gonna take this, outside of work. That's a huge, huge plus. But like I said, if something happens to where, you get sick at work and you can no longer work, and not every company is going to do it, but
Mhm.
if you're costing them more money being away than you are at the office,
Mhm.
you would have to keep that.
Correct. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope that you have been educated. Those who will be going back to watch the show, I hope that you will be educated and that you will invest in life insurance. So stimulus checks are dropping. So if you didn't have the funds or you didn't have life insurance before tonight's show, I hope and pray that you will invest going forward because it is very important. Also, please go to YouTube and subscribe to Coco the Experience. Y'all know I'm still working on this podcast stuff, trying to perfect it as I go, but God told me to do this and I am doing it. So I thank you, everyone that tunes in and listens to me each and every week. Also, special shout out to my sponsor, Miss Anisha Mitchell, owner of Crown Me Boutique. Located at 2218 31st Street, Inslee, Birmingham, Alabama 35208. Also, special shout out to my favorite audience. They show up every week. Demetria, thank you. Confidence in Color. Check her out. She sells the best eyelashes, lip gloss, just all the ladies that like to be pretty. She got you. She also does makeup. Thank you to the lovely Akila, owner of Akila's Custom Creations. Y'all, that's her information. She also has items inside Brahmi Boutique, so come check her out. Also, I can't forget all my other businesses, D&K Creations and Boutique. I also have items inside Crown Me Boutique. I also do custom orders, so y'all check me out. And as always, I'm your girl for Coco CBD Cocktails as well, with drink specials, 3 for $25, 1 for $10. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much tonight for tuning in. Tune in next week and we'll be talking about purpose. So thank y'all so much for listening tonight. Have a good night. Hold on, we got one more comment. Rodriguez says, I think our culture say they have it and really don't. And that is very true. I think society today, we like to show off the shoes, the cars, but we don't actually have it. We spend our money on the wrong things. So I totally agree.
And it's very affordable. I will say it is very, very affordable, and you don't know until you get a quote, and you're educated about that. I gave my social media, but I would also like to just say I am, on the phones
Okay.
all the time. If someone has a question, I can be reached at 205-267-8080. And my name is Latasha. And once again, that's 205-267-8080.
Okay. All right. Thanks, y'all. Y'all be good. See you next week.